trying to nail a perfect pop-up is virtually impossible. The rails wobbling in the water, the waves kind of not a perfect wave. You should be making incremental adjustments to how you stand and where your foot placement is. Back foot, front foot, hands up. You'll notice that he still has the head over the front foot. I just got back from a most amazing month away in Nicaragua hosting workshops. They're week-long workshops where 10 people come and spend time with us and we help them with their surfing. And one of the biggest problems that they say is that I have a pop-up issue. When people get taught to pop up, it might be functional for someone learning how to surf because you're on a flat foamy, probably a big wide board being pushed across a flat surface from point A to point B, and the foam's kind of banging you, so you're all on your back foot and you're trying to control that. Okay, it might work there, but that's the only time it works. Following on from that, the pop-up is actually a lock-up, and it stops you from moving. It prevents you from compressing, extending, turning. It locks your foot up in the wrong place. It sticks your head in the wrong place. It makes you bend your back. The amount of problems that a pop-up gives you when you try to surf going forwards is crazy. So we're going to dive into some of the problems, but then stay tuned towards the end because we're going to provide you with all the solutions, the stuff that you should know, what the pros do. And what we're going to do is we're going to get 11 times world champion Kelly Slater's walk up, because it's not a pop-up, and we're going to show you how to do it properly. The stuff that's going to make you advance as a surfer rather than the stuff which is a pop-up which is going to hold you back as a surfer. This pop-up is something that's highly searched on the internet. If you don't want to miss all the tips, please give us a like and a follow, and you'll get all the information sent to you to help you fix your horrible pop-up and make you a better surfer. So first of all, let's look at what's wrong with the pop-up. Everyone says that they're going to teach you a perfect pop-up, correct? So you go, bang! And you'll notice that my feet aren't probably in the right place, which means that I probably haven't landed in the right place. But because my head's over the side and the hips over the side and my weight's on the back foot, it makes it really hard to do an adjustment to the pop-up, okay? So if you haven't nailed the perfect pop-up, and by the way, trying to nail a perfect pop-up is virtually impossible. The rails wobbling in the water, the waves kind of not a perfect wave, so the chances of landing perfectly on your board is going to be like nigh impossible. Not only that, is that every time you surf, you should be making incremental adjustments to how you stand and where your foot placement is, right? But if you're locked up, there's no chances that you're making any of those changes. It's kind of like when you ride a bicycle in your corner. It's not like, great, 36 degrees, boom, perfect turn, okay? You incrementally looking, leaning, and constantly adjusting. So you're constantly adjusting your stance when you surf. So there isn't a perfect pop-up, so get that out of your brain. You want to stand on your surfboard where you can make adjustments. Now, going back to that, a lot of people when they pop up into a side-on stance. So it looks something like this. Boom! Sideways. Now, the problem with the side-on stance is that my head is hanging over here. So I'm straight away more inclined to want to dig the rail and almost fall that way. Because my bum is on the side and my head is over here, I'm kind of bending from the hip. All right, so you see a lot of this happening, and then they want to stabilize and lock that. So as soon as you've locked up, you can't move anymore. Ideally, what you do want to be is more in a straight-on stance with your head over your hips. Now, this is a compression and this is an extension without making the rails move. So if you've got a crappy pop-up, when you do finally go to a more high-performance board, the board's going to react to this rather than going down the wave and up the wave and reacting the way it should react. Going back to your pop-up. Most people when they pop up, they're looking at the board. trying to get the 17-step process to the perfect pop-up correct, when what you should be doing is paying more attention to what's happening on the wave. What line do I want to take? How fast is the wave moving? Is it a closeout I have to go fast, or do I have time? So the more you can raise your head and read, and the slower you can come up and stop moving, the more control you have over your surfboard once you're up. So the pop-up is useless if you can't move your body afterwards. Going back to the pop-up. So many people pop up and their body works against them. So what I mean by this is that when they pop up, the knees are going in two different directions, the hands going in two different directions, which is kind of like riding a horse, and you tell the horse, go left, right at the same time. The horse will probably want to turn around and bite you because you're going to be annoying it. So you're telling your surfboard so many things, like go that way and go that way, but then your head's saying go that way, your butt's saying go that way, the wave is saying go that way, and it's like, what the hell should the surfboard do? So if you could coordinate your body, that where you look, your body points and the board will follow, it's going to start making your board more responsive because you're giving one signal and it's like all the ducks are flying in the same direction as opposed to chaos. Do you know how many surfers stand up and once they've popped up, they find that backhand is nearly impossible to surf? And the reason being, after a pop-up, I can only see 90 degrees. I can see the side, but I can't see that side. So often the pop-up locks you in this side-on position. And we're not crabs, we don't move side-on. As humans, we're designed to move front-on. And as front-on, we get 180 peripheral vision. So if you come up into a more front-on position, you're going to be able to see everything that you need to see. The problem with that side-on position is that even if surfers want to go that way, they tend to point their bums where they want to go. And they struggle to control and they struggle to steer the surfboard. When you move, like in golf, if you want to hit a golf ball, all right, there's ankle, knee, hip, shoulder rotation. And in boxing, if you want to throw a punch, there's ankle, knee, hip, shoulder rotation. All right? But the pop-up locks that. You've got hip bend and the feet are flat. The movement does not come up sequentially through the joints. So there's a disconnect between the top half and the bottom half of your body, which means that as much as you flap your arms, all right, the movement doesn't go into the surfboard. There's a disconnect. Okay, so no matter what the top half does, it kind of doesn't go through to the bottom. So your board is now unresponsive. And if you just stop doing the pop-up, it will fix all of the problems. When people are popping on the pop-up, all right, they generally got their hands in the air, like they're doing a handstand. So there's 2 points of contact. You're either going to overshoot it and have this weird narrow stance, or you're going to like undershoot it and have a really weird stance. And while trying to pop to your feet, the board's moving, the wave's pushing, and there's all these things kind of working against you. So here's my question. Have you ever seen a two-legged bar stool or table? No, because they don't exist. They're not stable, okay? So you always need 3 points of contact. So what the pros do when they walk up, there's my 3 points of contact, 3 points of contact, then I'm in my position. And when I come out of it, 3 points of contact, 3 points of contact. And even if you're on a shortboard and you haven't got your feet, you're still using your thighs or your pubic bone, okay, as the 3 points of contact. Because from here, 3 points of contact and 3 points of contact, 3 points of contact, right? It's a much more stable way of getting up, and you can do it as slow as you want. okay, or as fast as you want, right? It's a walk up or a run up. It's the most natural thing that you've ever done, and I don't know why you don't do it when you surf. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we are going to show you Kelly Slater, how he goes from a paddling position into a standing position. Okay, so we'll do it in just slow motion. You can have a look at it, and then we'll start breaking it down into the advantages of what he's doing and why it's advantageous for him to do it that way. He lifts his head, back foot, front foot, hands up. Nice casual positioning, and you'll see there's no stress, there's no tension. It's effortless, it's flowing, and it's functional, and it looks stylish. Okay, so let's break that down and try to figure out, all right, Mr. Slater, what are you doing? Okay, so the first thing he does is he raises his head, okay, almost like he's been pulled up. So think about this, when you're running, all right, if you're going to start a race from down here, you raise your head up. And the reason being is gravity is pushing you down. The more you lift up, the more space you create. And with that space, it creates room for movement. So what he's doing is he's raising his head, making himself lighter. Okay? The second thing that happens after that is that when he stands up, his head from the lying down to the standing is pretty much in the same place. So from when he's paddled in to when he stood up, the head stays in the same place. Now, this is what you're not getting, right? Look at his shoulders. Do you see how they square over the front foot? So it's like when someone runs, it's like bang, shoulders are square over the front foot. As opposed to the learn to surf people who pop, who are sideways. The fact that his shoulders are square, he's got 180 degrees peripheral vision of what's unfolding on the wave. So he can use pattern recognition. How fast is the wave breaking? Is it closing out? Where am I going to bottom turn? Where am I top turning? And he can start planning and mapping out and then executing. So knowing what's going on is helping him to then relax. Now, the other thing, head, shoulder, knee, ankle, all based and stacked over the front foot. So you might ask, okay, why is this important? Well, it's important because the middle of the surfboard is the widest part of the surfboard. It's where you're going to get the most balance from. So the fact that he's balanced on the widest part of the surfboard makes the board stable. Now beginners, they're going to be worried about acceleration, speed, control, and there's fear. So all of that fear of all of those problems I mentioned is going to put them on the back foot. Plus part of the board's that big that doesn't fit, so now they've got to really get on the back foot. And the back of the board isn't nearly as stable. They're trying to utilize their fins to control everything. The surfboard on Kelly Slater, you'll notice the angle of the surfboard, it's tilting down, helping him get acceleration. And by standing on the front foot of the board, you help push the rocker down while stabilizing. So not only are you getting stable acceleration, while all that's happening, right, he has time to make any adjustments to his body just in case he did not do the perfect pop-up. Now bear in mind, he's 11 times world champion. You'd think that he would nail perfect pop-ups. He still needs to get comfortable before he surf. So what unfolds next? So if you have a look where he stands over there, okay, those ankles are moving, the foot's going more further back towards the tail, and he's doing all those adjustments. Now, if you over here, okay, it's really hard to do that back foot adjustment. You need to get your head over the front foot to free up the back foot to make all those necessary adjustments, to get the toe more on the rail, to move the heel more further back, to get more pivot. So unless you're stacked over the front foot, goodbye adjusting to all the incremental changes that that wave is making while you're going down the line. Now, the other thing, He's compressing and extending in one plane. If you've done a pop-up, you're probably over here. You're compressing and you think you're extending, but your legs are locked, your head's just wobbling, makes the board really unstable, and you're probably going to find that you're more like popcorn, that when you do extend, you don't even know where you're sending your body. I've seen so many people that when they pop up, they actually pop off the board. And the reason being is there's so much violent force and swinging of the hip open that they pop themselves off the board. The other thing about Kelly is he's constantly looking at where he's going. So in any other sports, whether it's golf, basketball, the more you're looking at the hoop and the more you look at your target, okay, the easier it is to shoot. So what he's doing is he's spending more time focusing on where he wants to execute the bottom turn and reading and planning the wave, as opposed to beginners who spend more time focusing on stuff and they're getting so much information that they don't know how to sift and sort through the information. Plus they're trying to remember the 17 perfect pop-up plan, which is just too much information. The pop-up needs to be intuitive. If you're looking at someone and you want to chase them, by looking at them, you know whether you can do it slow or whether you have to do it really fast. You don't think about it, it's intuitive. So when you read in the wave, it will tell you how slow or how fast you need to be on your pop-up. Most beginners will sprint paddle. They would have caught the wave and they're still sprint paddling and they're trying to pop up at the bottom of the wave. That is a hard push-up with G-force. What Kelly does is his head stays in the same place and the board drops away, which makes his pop-up effortless because the board's dropping away. So his pop-up requires a lot less effort. But if you do it in the flats, it's going to be hard work. The other thing is the line that he takes. When you surf, you're surfing a circle. It's a circle of energy that is spiraling down the beach. A lot of people want to take this straight line because they've paddled so hard and they want to pop up and they're not looking at the wave, that the board doesn't fit and they end up nose diving. And then once they've done it wrong once, they do it wrong twice, they start to develop trauma that every time I take off, this bad thing happens, and they look at the bad thing. What Kelly does, and if you look at the line that he takes, okay, that line that he takes over there is basically a quarter of a circle, and then he follows it up with a half circle, and then he does it again and he does a semicircle and a semicircle. He does not take straight lines because water is moving in a spiral, and if you start to surf in figure eights and S curves and follow that semicircle, your board will flow. You're not supposed to stand on your board and go in straight lines. Your board's not designed for that. Surfing's not designed for that. So if you pop up and you've locked up, you're going to be going in a straight line, and you're going to be finding that your board doesn't fit, it catches rails, and a world of problems starts unraveling simply because you're taking a crap line, simply because you've got a crap pop-up. When Kelly takes off, you'll notice that the head is over the front foot. So I've got compression over the front foot, which makes me heavier, which gives me acceleration down the wave face. All right. But then when he wants to go up, you'll notice that he still has the head over the front foot. Now, think about this. Let's just say I wanted to walk up a flight of stairs. I have to put my foot on the stair. I have to move my head and my hip on there and then straighten. So even the up is a front foot move and the down is a front foot move. So if you can understand that the compression and extension happens over the front foot, you're going to understand how he maintains speed and acceleration through the compression, extension, and turns. Because Kelly's not locked up and his head is stacked over the body, right? If he wants more acceleration, he's just got to slightly move the head and the hips forward, and deceleration will be moving the head and hips back. To get the board to turn a bit more on the toe edge, you just need to shift his head and hip a little bit of the toe edge, and to get it to go down the wave, he needs to move the head a little bit of the heel edge. So these subtle, incremental changes have a huge, massive impact on the surfboard. But if you've popped up and you've locked up, all right, no matter what you do over here, okay, it does not travel through the body and into the surfboard. So you can make these massive movements, but it has a little effect because the energy isn't transferring into your surfboard. So when we go and we think about your pop-up, it's not like, okay, I've nailed this pop-up and it's perfect and now I'm going to be surfing good. It's more you want to be standing on a board in a position where you can feel the energy on the wave. And when you're tapping into the energy of the wave, you need to be able to move and make constant adjustments, like when you're riding a bicycle and you're looking where you're going and you're making constant adjustments in the turn. Even if you're driving a car, you're constantly making these micro adjustments. And surfing's all about the micro adjustments. Whereas I feel the pop-up is locking you up and it's stealing all the sensitivity, and you are going to get locked up with a pop-up issue if you keep on focusing on that horrible thing called the pop-up. We've had hundreds of clients come through Ombi and the specific center where we've able to help them with what they thought was a pop-up issue. In actual fact, most of the times it was a looking issue and it's getting the right information. By reading waves and learning how to become a smarter surfer, they instinctively fix their own pop-up. So if you want to come around and book some time with us at the center, one of our amazing coaches, by all means hop on the link below and come check us out.